It's just been so much happening in the last 48 hours. I mean, the news just keeps coming in. The news does not stop. The transfer rumors don't stop. I mean, it's getting to a point where it's even hard to like keep up with these news right now. But the biggest one on everyone's lips, the biggest one that is, circling around on the internet right now is Arsenal signing Califiori. And I believe earlier today, Fabrizio Romano posted, oh, I think he tweeted that in that sense, like Arsenal have. Let me get this news up real quick. Get this tweet up and put exactly what he said earlier today because it's just been nonstop. So Fabrizio said Arsenal have presented long-term proposal to Ricardo Califiori after interest revealed last week. Understand players open to joining Arsenal if they can agree terms with Bologna. Chelsea are still there. Arsenal and Chelsea are the only two clubs in talks right now. And then I think during the day, DiMarzio also said something along the lines of like Arsenal had agreed personal terms with Califiori and this deal is pretty much close to being wrapped up. Now, I think there were also reports from Fabrizio saying that Chelsea are trying to, I guess, look at a different sort of like proposal for Califiori where they discuss players with, I'm assuming some money for the player. So it's going to be player and cash deal. Now, there's been, I guess like rumors or news that his last club, which is FC Basel, they get 50% of whatever the sell-on clause is. So then the question for me will be, if you're Bologna and you have two teams who want to sign Califiori, if your price, your evaluation on the player is 50 million euros, which I'm not sure the exact conversion, but let's just say it's like 42 million pounds. If you sell him for 42 to either club, then FC Basel gets 50% of that. But if you look at the proposal from Chelsea, if they give you a player and say maybe a player plus another, let's just say another 20, 25 for Califiori, then essentially you're getting an extra player. You only have to split whatever it's, the 25, whatever that comes up to. You split it by what, like 12, 12.5, 13 mil. And then on top of that, you can now sell this new player you've gotten from Chelsea on for more profit. So if you look at the structure of the deal, for me personally, I would think like you want to look at the best option. But then again, they might also just want to do a straight cash deal. They might just want give me the 42 mil, I give Bassa whatever they want, and we keep our money. Now there will also, again, the rumors come in that since like he said something in 2022 that Chelsea and West Ham were the two teams he wanted to go to. Um, might not count for anything really. If you look at the project that Chelsea and Arsenal might be able to offer the player, well, Arsenal has Champions League to offer. They've competed for the title 2 seasons back to back, and they just are a much better team right now. So you could just go to Arsenal. I mean, question will be: would you rather play with the likes of Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, or would you want to come to Chelsea, who might not even have our first back, first choice lineup sorted up. We have Fafana, Levi Colwell, Badiashile, Desasi, Tosin. But again, we don't know who our first, you know, choice center backs are going to be. So in that situation, you might want to go to a more established, a more settled club, which would be Arsenal, right? You get to play with better players. The question for me would be: is Califiori going to be um, the 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 guy that tips the skills into Arsenal's favor to win the league? I don't think so. I mean, let's just all keep it 100. Let's just keep it all the way honest, right? Even 4 months ago, nobody knew about Ricardo Califiori. So for people now to say, well, he's possibly the missing piece. Arsenal are gonna go invisible. They're going to win the league. I mean, yeah, that might be a little bit of a stretch, to be honest with you. Like, nobody's watched Bologna. If anybody says they've watched Bologna, please let me know what kind of player he is. For the most part, we've all gotten exposure to the guy in the Euros, where he played 2, 3 games, probably was suspended for that thing, like the third game that they lost and went out to. So for me, I mean, I saw him during the Euros. He looks like a very tidy player, like I've said in a previous video. He looks good. He looks confident on the ball. He looks good on the ball. He takes risk with the ball. He moves into midfield. He's a confident guy from what I can see. But for someone we've not known, again, just because we've not known a player's profile and we've never known anything about them, does not mean they're not going to be quality. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just the overreaction for me is a little bit too much. Now, if Arsenal get him, great business. You've got a left back, center back, left center back, defensive option in your team. And would he be an upgrade on your Zinchenko and your Kivior? Maybe, right? Maybe he might be a better option. But you signed Timber for good money last year, and we all thought, or we were told, he was going to be the guy that took over the left back spot. So then, what happens to Kivy? What happens to Timber? I know he came from a big injury, so he's one of those guys you want to slowly bring into the team, and then you just want to kind of let him find his feet. But for 42 mil for Califiori, he's not going to be a bench player. Now, I know all good teams should have options. So even if it costs you 42 mil to have someone who can come in and fill in for your starters, hey, go for it. The biggest teams, you look at the likes of Real Madrid, they almost got a player or two in every position. Nobody complains about that, but they win. That's the difference. Arsenal has not won anything for like the last 5 years, maybe going on six. The last time they won a trophy was an FA Cup. So again, you're not Real Madrid, but you can afford to do that. So I would not even be upset, if you got this Califiori deal done. Like, he looks like somebody who can add a little bit to your team, but like if Chelsea added Califiori to this team right now, is he going to take us from sixth to like fourth? Maybe, maybe not. Right? Because we already have Cucurella who's cooking in the left back option. For me, personally, if you ask me, who would you want in that left back position? I'll take Cucurella because he's somebody we've invested money in. He's a good player. He had, a poor first season, was injured last season, but we've seen the quality the guy has. He's versatile as well. He's played right back, left center back. When he played for Brighton, he was a left wing back. So that's somebody who's still young, still has a lot of quality in that team. So for me, he's not someone I would want to replace that easily. Now, if you want to give me like a backup option, give me Anthony Robinson from Fulham, the United States international player. That's somebody that I've watched a lot of, and I like his style of play. He's up and down, energetic. He can tackle. He can whip it across. For me, I like my fullbacks to be able to do that. Get the ball and just whip the ball in. Good defensively. Good. He's a good age profile as well, and he might not even be too cheap. You get that, and he's prem proven. Like he's played in the prem before, so it's not going to take a minute for him to settle into the league. and just know what's expected, how to just navigate the country, how to navigate the language. He's already been here at least a year or two. That's somebody I want, and for me, losing Olise to Bayern Munich was kind of like, yeah, that kind of hurt because for the last 2 years we've been pretty much close, and then we fumbled it this time, right? But if you look at the right hand for Chelsea, without Olise added to this team, we had about 60 GA just from that right. If you added Cole, you added Noni, and you added Gusto, we had about 60 goals and assists all from that right hand side. So for me, that right does not really, really have a big problem. It's the left hand side that you got to worry about because between, Chilwell, Cucurella, Sterling, and Mudryk, we probably only had like 20, 25 to 30 GA on that side. So that's, if anything, that's the side you might want to focus on, try to move, the likes of your Sterling on. Not sure who's going to sign him because he's on big wages. But the left side, especially like the wing, so it's that's where we need, some more firepower. But again, we lost Olise to Bayern, it's not a problem. If we lose Califiori to Arsenal, again, not a big deal because he's one of those guys nobody really heard of him, right? And I'm not saying he's a good player, or I'm not saying like if he came to the club, like I wouldn't enjoy it. Like, yo, if the scouting team, if the DOFs have seen that this is somebody who can add something to this team, and that's who they want to get, by all means, go for it. But it's not one of those that's going to really make me feel that they're not really trying to get us, excuse me, the best players available. So again, we'll see how this develops over, the rest of the weekend. Who knows? By this time tomorrow, Arsenal have already, we've gotten the here we go and whatnot, right? But again, I if Chelsea wants a player, they do their best to go get it. If when Stanley and Stewart are not getting things done, expect your Egbalis, Beck, and your Todd Bowleys to step in. Like we've seen these guys go to Portugal, come back home with Enzo. We've seen them go to Brighton the next day after Liverpool thought they had it. Bring us Caicedo. We've seen these guys do some stuff. So again, I'm not really appreciating this model of just signing every young player available. Like, yo, you've had enough. Just just let it go. But clearly they're not going to. But again, for me, if again, they probably look like back to Elise again. I don't want to go back to it. But they looked at, is he somebody we need really for this team? Like if we take out Elise from this team, do we lose a lot of value on that side? And they probably thought it ain't worth it. If he rejected the club, so be it. He's going to Bayern Munich. It is what it is. But I am very sure if these guys decide, hey, we've already lost Olise, we don't want to lose Califiori, then yeah, they might overpay for it, offer Bologna more money. Now Arsenal has to either match that valuation or decide, yeah, we don't want to meet that. If Chelsea offered Bologna more money and Arsenal offered less money, but the player chooses to go to Bologna, then the choice might really have to be, yeah, maybe Bologna might have to accept Arsenal's, offer. But again, they might want to get the best, value for themselves as well. If somebody's offering them, 55 million euros and you're offering 50, listen, those agents are probably going to tell the player, yeah, forget about Arsenal. Let's just get this move. Let's go to Chelsea. Let's make this happen. You know, so because everyone says Chelsea offers big wages, they pay, the agents more money to get these players. So if that's the case, then this might be one of the situations again. I personally don't believe that's what happens, but look, if people think that's what you're doing, then you might as well use that to your advantage right now. But for me, if Arsenal get the player, no sweat, it's not a big deal. There's going to be, and that's the thing. Like, is Califiori like a guy where you can't find his profile out. No, he's not. It's a good amount of fullbacks around in the league you can get for cheaper. So it's like losing him. That ain't one of those. Like I think we'll be fine if we get him. Cool, because again, not everyone can tell me they've seen this guy play a lot of times. We're all going off what we've seen in the Euros. He's looked pretty good, and we're just taking that with a grain of salt. So again, may the best team win for this. Now I know Man United are close to, or they've been looking at the league. The consensus has been, Delete is a very interesting, just an interesting player because when he played for Ajax some years ago, when they had your, Delete, your Ziyech, Donny van der Beek, Tadic, De Jong, when they had all these guys and they damn near almost went to the Champions League final, Delete was a beast of a player. I mean, he was he was everything you looked for in a center back. Forget about this whole passing from the back crap. No. You want your center backs to be able to defend, prevent goals, physical, tackling, interceptions, leadership. And this guy was all of that at Ajax. I mean, he was a monster of a player, right? So for him to move to Juventus, I mean, that move didn't really make a lot of sense to the rest of us, only because when you see players like your deletes, you assume their next, evolution, the stage, the next step they take in their career will be going to like your Liverpools, your Arsenals, your Chelseas, your Man Uniteds, maybe not Man City because he doesn't kind of fit that profile. They have, you know, different players they like to use. Your Real Madrids, your Barcelonas. These are and even Bayern Munich to an extent. These are the moves you think he makes from an Ajax. He steps up to one of these big guys. He went to Juventus. Hey, he didn't look, you know, a lot like the player we saw in Ajax, but again, you could bring it down to, move into a different league at a younger age, just, acclimate into the culture, the language, the weather, whatever, being away from family, all of that, right? So then he goes to Bayern Munich, and again, we've seen other people play ahead of this guy. Eric Dyer came in, played ahead of the league. King Min Jae played ahead of the league. Upamecano played ahead of the league. So, like, it just looks like one of those guys whose trajectory took a big step back. And he doesn't, the league's name doesn't command the same amount of respect that it did a couple years ago. Now, would he be a good fit for Man United? I don't know. I really don't know. But then again, if you look at their center backs, bar Lissandro Martinez, I think anyone you get in will be an upgrade. You know, let's be honest. Harry Maguire is not going to be that guy who takes you places, right? We've seen his deficiencies. We've seen his. It's just he's an okay center back. The league does not go into pull any trees, but would he fit what they're trying to get right now? Absolutely. They lost Varane. Martinez has been injured for the most part. Lindelof has been really non-existent. So again, the league will fill a void, and for the price, it's you know it's one of those you take a chance on it, right? Because the league 2 3 years ago would have been going for minimum 80 million pounds to like 85, 90 maybe. That's how highly rated he was. But for like 34, anywhere between like 30 to like 38 to 40, for a player who's still pretty young, has a lot of experience. And that's the thing. He has a lot of experience even at that young age. He still has those leadership qualities. He never lost those. He's still a physical defender. And this is the Premier League, This is a very physically demanding league. So would he be right at home? I believe so. I don't think it's going to be, one of those deals where like there's not too many downsides to that. It's not a crazy amount of money, and I think it wouldn't be a bad signing for Man United, to be honest. Um, Only because if you're trying to buy other center backs right now, the prices are going to be ridiculous anyway. So for someone with his age, his experience, he's been to essentially Germany. Yeah, he's played in the Netherlands, and then he went to Italy. So this guy comes with some experience with them. He's had a lot of game in his young career. So he's one of those guys. You bring him to your team, let him get comfortable. I think that United might have a solid deal here. So I mean, if would I how would I rate this deal? I'll say it's a good deal. He still has a lot that he could do. Now we can only judge him based on what he does when it comes to the league. So I think United might be getting a nice deal. They're getting the league if they finally get that deal done. Fabrizio said he wants to go to Man United, so they've already got the green light from the player. So it's all about the clubs agreeing to a fee, getting this done. Cool. They're also getting Xerxes or Xerxes, whatever his name is. Again, not a lot of people watch Bologna. So people are going to look at the comps and say he's one of those. Is he an upgrade on Hoyland? I'll let United fans answer that for me because I'm not going to scout Xerxes. He's not coming to my team. I've never watched the guy play. If United fans say he's better and he is a better option to Hoyland, hey, look, that's you. He's going to play for your team, so hopefully he does what he needs to do for you. But I think it's going to be a good deal. It won't be the worst. I mean, they've signed worse than Maguire for a crazy amount of money. How could the league legit be any worse than Maguire? Probably not. That's already a win. You know that in itself, it's already a win. So I think it's a good deal. And if he goes to Man United, they might be cooking a little sign over there for sure. Um, Now I do want to touch on the Drewsby Hall. We finally got the here we go from David Ornstein. We got it from Fabrizio, and for some reason, right? There's still that whole. Well, I mean, he's just a championship player. Like he played 2 seasons with Leicester City before they got relegated. This is a Premier League, you know, player that has played in the league and knows the league in and out. For 30 million pounds for someone who's had that much experience, like it's one of those like the delete. It's not so many downsides to it. Yo, I've had to watch the likes of Gallagher in my midfield since last year. It Again, I like Connor. Okay, I like the intangibles he brings to the team. I think he has so many good qualities. I think he has so many good qualities that we could really use on the defensive end of on the defensive aspect of winning the ball back, tackling, being able to keep the shape. And he could go get you a few goals. He can put in a good set piece. Like I think he's a decent player. He's a decent squad player. But if you look at player profiles, like if you look at what Drewsbury Hall can provide you, it's kind of the same things Gallagher will provide you, but to a little bit of a higher quality. So, am I going to sweat 30 mil for someone who is at a 25, a good amount of experience, wants to play for the team, has been in the league? I don't understand this whole he was a championship player. So what? People, you like other teams have bought players from other leagues that have been awful. Like you look at your Amrabat, awful. Sabozlai, awful. You look at um Gravenberg, has barely played. Fabio Vieira, awful signing. But these guys came from established teams. So like it doesn't really matter where you're from. It's can you do a job? Can you hold your own? And if the answer is yes, then I don't understand why people want to say, well, he's from Leicester City and he just came from the relegation. So what? Like if you can ball, you can ball. Like he's a decent player. No one is going over the top talking about He's going to win us the league. He's going to be, PFA Player of the Year. We're just saying, that's an okay deal. Like it's one of those you take it and you keep it moving. It's not something to go crazy about, but like it's the disrespect of this guy's name is a little too much. Only because he's one of those guys who can he'll do a job. Madison came from Leicester City, like, and he was rated one of the best creative number tens in the league. So I don't understand the issue. Like Madison played for Spurs. He was one of their big players, and he came from Leicester City, and they had been relegated. So I don't understand what the problem is. So for me, I think again, solid deal. I think he will add a lot to the team. We need a striker. And for me, hopefully that's something we address, eventually, because defensively we have a few options, and we just need to see these guys in preseason fit. We need to see how they're going to be deployed, who's playing where, who's started, who's not. Because I do remember when we first signed Badiashile and he came into the league, he was one of our best defenders with Thiago Silva. Now, last year he had inconsistencies. He was injured. He had some really bad games. I mean, terrible bad games. But the whole team looked bad. Like our whole team just looked dysfunctional. No structure. Everybody just looked like, again, everyone says it's Cole Palmer FC, right? So if that's the case, then it means clearly we weren't good enough. So if we're not good enough, then none of these guys are going to look good at all, besides one player. And that's someone who came from Man City. We had a few guys who stepped up as the season went on. For the most part, Gusto was solid all throughout last year. Cole Palmer was our best player. I mean, without this guy, I genuinely think we would have finished a lot lower than we did. Which also brings me to another point of conversation because now Chelsea is being dubbed a mid-table team. But if last time I checked, we finished sixth. If sixth position is mid-table, then I didn't know. The first year, the Todd Bowley and Blue Co came in, we were 12th that year, right? And again, we all know what happened, sanctions, whatever, whatever. They came, we finished 12th. The next year, which was last season, we finished sixth. So that's already an improvement. Now, one of the best teams in England that we're being told right now, Arsenal, when Mikel Arteta came in, then they finished eighth, and fifth. So, and now they're the best team and they haven't won anything. So I don't understand how 2, 3 years ago I won the Champions League, Super Cup, World Club Cup, went to two domestic finals, and just 2 years later, I'm not a good team. When 3 years ago you were awful. And because you've been second twice. I mean, you haven't even won it yet. This is one of those situations like at the end of the day, we're both losers. Yeah, you finished second, but you still didn't win anything. You don't get a second place trophy. Once the season restarts, we're all back to 0 points. So for a team to say, well, you're mid table, nobody wants to come to you, and they were just in eighth, and then their best season was fifth, and then they challenged the season after. I mean, that's really cheeky coming from Arsenal fans. Like, I get it. You have what, 12 league titles, a bunch of FA Cups, a bunch of, Carling Cups. You have it all, right? But, your range just stays in England. If we go to Europe, you can't chat to me. You cannot talk to me. I have two of everything. My question will be, would Arsenal fans give up? Would you give up three league titles just for one Champions League? Just let me know. If you had the chance to pick a Champions League trophy and you had to give up two Premier League titles, or no, matter of fact, three Premier League titles for a Champions League, I want to know if you take that offer. I mean, if you do, then it just means winning the Champions League twice. It's really no. small achievement. Like we talk about heritage. Like we've played against the likes of prime Barcelona, prime Bayern Munich, some really good Napoli teams. I mean, that we've played against Liverpool. Okay, we've played games against Liverpool in the Champions League. We if you go on Google right now and you type in Ivanovic Europa League final goal, that winning goal in Lisbon will pop up. If you type in Arsenal Champions League final winning goal, yeah, I don't think you find it nothing. So I just think that the disrespect is getting a little too loud, just because you've been bridesmaids twice. You didn't win it, and I understand you challenged twice, but you still did not win it. Like if we look at you and me, that I've won something significant in the last 3 years than you have in five. Like I don't understand this chat. Like I get it, it's banter, but it's like there's got to be sometimes it's got to be a little bit more just like you just got to keep it real with yourself. Like I know you want to kick us when we're down, but you haven't done anything of significance in the last, even in the last 2 years. You challenged, so what? Liverpool challenged twice, and we laughed at them. We said, well, you didn't win anything. So how are you then going to say, well, you're better than this, you're better than that? You know, like you keep saying, well, the project. We're going to sell the project to this player. That's why he's going to pick it. What is the project? We're going to challenge and we're going to hopefully win it, but we're going to come second. I like every team has a goal. Every team wants to win. So if that's the project, then well, hell, even Aston Villa could tell people that want to sign, we want a challenge for the league, and they can absolutely say that they want a challenge. Does that mean they're actually going to win it? No, but it's real cheeky from Arsenal fans, and I mean Spurs fans who also want to like add a little bit of razzle dazzle. It's not even worth having to engage with that because listen, you haven't won anything in so long. To call me dusty, it's wild. To call my club dusty when your cabinets got cobwebs in them, that's nasty work. That's some real nasty work. But let's just be objective. Like you can banter all you want, but there's got to be some logic to the conversation because then we're just doing banter for banter, you know. And the last thing I do want to add on, I just want to finish on was there was a report that Robert Sanchez was going to be the first choice for Maresca. And listen, I am praying this is not the case. I am praying that this is all just PR to get some value for this guy and ship him out. Because when he was at Brighton, I thought he was a good goalie. Like he was okay. And when we signed him, I thought it was going to be one of those. Okay, we're taking this guy off your hands so you could give us a nice deal on the Moises deal, and we still had to pay premium to get Moises anyway. And this guy was just terrible. Yeah, he had a few good saves, but for the most part, this guy can't for a goalie who's being told about or talked about that he plays with his, he's good with the ball at his feet. Yeah, this guy was not it. Like Petrovic was not the worst option, and he wasn't the best with his feet, but he gave us that sense of calmness when we played. If you weren't, whenever Sanchez played and the ball went back to him, I was nervous because anything he could do could lead to a goal. I didn't feel that with Petro. So for me, I'm praying he's not. Listen, he's not that guy because he really is not that guy. If you're not gonna get a different goalie, listen, just stick with Petrovic. Just that's like the safest option, right? So, um, guys, let me know your opinions, your thoughts in the comments. Um, like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I think we have some Euros coming in on Friday. So I hopefully I can get some coverage on that. But people, it's been another video. And I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support. Thanks for all subscribing to the channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys, in the next video. Peace.